What is up, CSP fam? This video podcast is dedicated to talking about principles and ideas that help you brand your business by using story-based marketing. Remember, your brand isn't what you say about your organization, it's what other people tell other people about your organization. And all this we try to do in 5 to 10 minutes, so with some time elapsed already, let's dive right in. Last fall, my friend and business partner, Ben Branum, did a podcast on the principles of time. Now, time kind of plays into the quality of work, which we talked about last week. If you missed it, you might want to go check it out. But how does time affect story marketing and branding? I'm glad you asked. Here with me today is Ben Branum, a phenomenal graphic designer, thinker, and creative mind, to share with us what he has discovered about the importance of time. Ben, thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
So Ben, last fall we talked about 3 principles that customers want. They were time, cost, and quality. Can you give us a brief overview of kind of what that all was and why do customers want that so much?
I don't remember you asking me that question. Yeah, I think customers want those 3 things because, they want product quickly. They want a good quality product or service. They want it done right, and they want it done inexpensively. The problem is you can't have all 3. You can only choose 2.
Yeah, and that's hard in our society today because we are so driven to be like, we want something and we want it now, we want it good, Absolutely. We want it done right.
We have the McDonald's mentality. We want things done now.
Right. So why does having enough time on a project matter so much? Like, as the person doing the work, why does it matter so much to make sure that you have enough time, and can't you just rush it if you don't have enough time?
Right. Well, and for me, being a creative, in order to be creative, you need the time to process and think through the project. You can't rush it. I mean, if you rush something, things fall apart and you give a terrible product and service. And that is through all things. It's not just design. But in my field, as a designer, you have to be creative. And the creative process takes a lot of time. Even when I have a project to do and I'm at home not working on it, I'm still thinking about it. I'm thinking through, how am I going to translate what the company wants? How is that going to affect their brand? And if you don't have enough time, then it feels rushed. It's going to look rushed, and it's just going to be a poor quality product.
And how would that affect, let's say, have you ever been in a situation where you rush something, and how does it affect your relationship with the client? I mean, in your specific area, it's design, but really for anyone, if you rush a project, how does that quality of work affect a relationship with the client?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We usually try to tell people, if you're going to rush this is going to, your outcome is not going to be as good as if we can take our time with something and do it right. An example of that would be in my early days. I've been doing this for 20 years, and in my early days, I worked at a sign company. We had a client who had a show truck. Okay. And he would take it to shows as this bright green thing, right? Well, he wanted a trailer to match. And so what we did in the sign company was we would create graphics, the design, and do the decals on the trailer. So he wanted this done in a week and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he wanted a show quality trailer in a week and a half. So, and we said, that's impossible. You're going to get a new paint job, you're going to get new decals, and then you're going to clear over them by this certain weekend he wanted it done by.
Wow.
And we told him, you'd be better off waiting another show. Next show, let's do this right. The problem is we told him, okay, you're going to have this painted. We're going to put stickers on it. It's going to look terrible because we don't have the time to actually do it right. And then you're going to clear coat over them. And what happens is when you put decals over paint, it outgasses. And all those decals are going to hold that gas, and it's just going to become like acne bubbles.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And guess what happened?
Yeah.
That all happened. And it was a terrible experience for the client, for us. And he would have been better off just doing the blank trailer at the show and waited.
Right. So what ended up happening in the end?
In the end, we had to rip off all the graphics and redo it. And even then, it didn't look as well as it could have been or should have.
Wow. You know, it's funny because when you talk about a client and their attitude, you know, of wanting it rushed too, when taking the FAA drone test, we talked about these 5 hazardous attitudes. And hazardous attitudes are attitudes that will cause things to not go well. And one of those attitudes that we talked about was the hazardous attitude of impulsivity, meaning you want it done now, and you want it done fast. And basically what that means for a remote pilot or somebody is if you have that hazardous attitude of impulsivity, what you're doing is you're rushing, you're missing things, and if you miss things, that's when mistakes can happen. And that's exactly what happened with your client with that truck. So how do you deal with a client who wants something fast and now? I mean, what can we do as creatives or even as business owners who deal with clients who want something done right now and they want it done cheaply and fast and high quality?
Yeah, I try to explain to them those things. I also kind of counter them with, can we do this like 2 weeks instead of your 1 week? Because normally the client really doesn't need it that quick.
Sure.
It gets back to your impulsivity. They want it done now. They're just not patient. And if they're really stubborn and they're like, no, we need it tomorrow, I tell them, well, I'm sorry, I'm not the right designer for you.
Right.
And I can usually give them some other people that might help them out, but I try to explain to them, you're not going to get the product that you want.
Sure.
In the amount of time that you're giving.
Sure. One last question here for you, and that is, how has making sure you have enough time to complete a project and making sure you keep your quality standards affect what people say about your product and organization?
Yeah, it hugely affects the way what they say about your organization, and that is all affected in all 3 of those principles. If you are rushing things through, your quality of service is always jeopardized. It's all connected. And so if people are perceiving you as a company that does poor quality products, they're not going to use you. They're going to go to the next person. I mean, it's just...
and that's what they're going to say about you.
Absolutely.
That's what they're going to tell other people.
100%, right.
Yeah.
And the things that they see, like your branding, social media, anything that's printed that you do, that's going to reflect on how they perceive your company.
And that is story branding. It's what others say about your organization, not what you say it is. So if you ever want to change the way others talk about your brand, start by asking yourself, how does making sure I have a good established timeline affect what people say about my organization? And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us, Ben. It was a privilege and a pleasure to have you here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and like us on social media. I'm John Oney, and we'll see you next time.